Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the S-Hero Superhero, aka Justice League / animated series Superman. Now, I got mine as a review sample from S-Hero, organized by 1/6 Kit. I've popped a link to Kit's site in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video. This is a proper review. All opinions are 100% my own. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as some brand new animated DC figure reviews go live on the channel. As for the box art, with this being my first figure from S-Hero, I didn't know what to expect for the packaging. But I certainly wasn't expecting this. They kept it really simple. Like, super simple. We've got an image of the figure himself, but silhouetted on this dark navy background in the shape of the bottom of his S-shield. Some lighter navy blue down below. And Superhero not once, but twice on the front of the box. Seeing as though Supes was the original comic book superhero, this third-party name does make sense. It's a little generic, but I'm okay with it. Around the back, absolutely nothing. It's just a plain white cardboard box. Ooh, interesting. A white clam tray. Usually they're made of clear or black plastic, but white is something a little bit different. Oh, and on the lid of the clam tray, his capes are just rattling around, so make sure you grab them so you can pop them on Supes. First in-hand impressions for him. So far, so good. This dude is a beefcake, and the body feels nice and sturdy. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box, and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It's a circular centerpiece style base mold, and I like the idea of it, but I don't dig the artwork. Yes, we've got Daily Planet up front, but it looks suspiciously AI generated to me. The softness of the line work is a dead giveaway. If you know better, and maybe you're even the person who drew this, let me know down in the comments below. But if you can back me up and you also think this is AI generated, I wouldn't be surprised to hear it. Around the front, we've got Superman, not superhero, so that I like. But up top, a multi-jointed flight pole arm with a spring-loaded waist clamp. An absolute classic Superman accessory. It's a bent I-beam. It's big. Like, seriously, this is a large piece. Luckily, it's cast out of hollow plastic, so it's lightweight. He's not going to topple over if you have him holding this in the collection. We've got some little predefined notches where you can wedge his fingers into, and that's how you'd have him properly holding onto this. The only complaint I have with it is it's too detailed, and I don't think I've ever said that about an accessory before. This is meant to look 2D because Superman looks a little 2D. He's animated Superman. Why is there this much texture on it? And the rivets look really detailed, and there's a wash over the top, and there's silver dry brushing. It's a very realistic looking I-beam, but it's just too realistic for this version of Superman. This was a relatively late addition to the pre-order. They received some feedback from people, and it turns out folks really wanted a wired cape, so they chucked one in the box. We get a wired cape as well as a drape one. How is this not more commonplace in the 1/6 scale world? Pre-posed flight boots. They just make sense to me because now he can have the skinny ankles, but we don't have to worry about him toppling over if those ankle joints get loose. We'll try out these flight pose boots on him a little bit later. All three of these head sculpts are displayable in my opinion. I'm struggling to pick which one is my favorite. Interestingly enough, the eyes aren't quite right. We'll discuss what I mean by that when we get Superman himself out here. I don't want to make it sound like they've done anything wrong. they've just made the conscious decision to have those eyes be inaccurate to the source material. Whether or not that rubs you the wrong way, personal preference. I think it was what's best for the figure, and that's why they made the decision they did. Lastly, he comes with a full array of blocky, geometric, animated-looking hands. There's some shading over the top, just some rosiness for the high spots, some sculpted-in fingernails, and also some definition for the knuckles. A splayed-out finger hand for the left, and a thumbs-up hand for the right. 2 gripping hands meant to be used with that girder. They're cast in rubbery plastic, so prying the fingers open to wedge that I-beam in there isn't going to be a massive challenge. And 2 closed fists already installed on him right out of the box, and there's the drape cape. What we're going to do now is get Soups himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. How has it taken this long for us to finally get great representations of these DC animated characters in 1/6 scale? Mondo burst onto the scene with their Batman releases, and I'm still collecting them. But they're jointed. What most of us wanted who collect 1/6 scale figures, fabric outfits, but still show accurate proportions. This achieves that. Like, without even breaking a sweat. Silhouette-wise, they nailed it. Even with the lights off, if this guy's casting a shadow on your wall, you will be able to tell that that is the animated version of Soups. The colours are nice and vibrant, but I do have something to say about the boots being a different colour. We'll touch on that in a moment. The head sculpts are all really strong. And the biggest surprise of all for me, the articulation is way better than I was expecting it was going to be. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Superman's first head sculpt. The first of 3. While I like all 3 of them, technically none of them are accurate to either the animated series or Justice League. Like, seriously, if you haven't seen those shows in a while, go back and look at some reference. In them, he's got no colour or whites for his eyes. They're literally just some black drawn on markings. In 1/6 scale, I don't think that would have worked, hence why they added in some more detail for the head sculpt. There's some airbrush shading in certain places. The S-curl is a separate piece of plastic that sits proud of the forehead, so it casts a shadow on it. And the skin tone match between the head sculpt and the neck is perfect. I am curious to see which head sculpt I'm going to go with long term, because right now this semi-pissed off looking neutral expression sculpt might just be my favourite of the bunch. Then again, smiling Soups? I don't mind if I do, because we don't get smiling Superman head sculpts very often. There's a gloss finish on the teeth, and I didn't mention this with the other head sculpt, but it's on there as well. The eyes are glossy. The benefit with going with a custom body like this, made by the company that's producing the figure, not an off-the-shelf body, is that the tolerances are just right. There's a gap underneath the chin on the inside of the head sculpt, so even if you have him looking all the way forward, the sculpt isn't making contact with the neck. You are not going to damage those paint applications. Oh, that is one pissed off looking Kryptonian. With each subsequent head swap, I get more and more confused as to which one I'm going to end up using with this release. Help me out, down below, let me know in the comments. Which head sculpt is your favourite of the bunch? There's a little bit more detail on this sculpt with the upper lip curl action just on the edge of the mouth there, and the line across the top and bottom layers of the teeth. Still, it fits the animated aesthetic. It's not 100% accurate, but it resembles the look from the show. I wish there wasn't a difference between accuracy and resemblance sometimes. I'm willing to give this figure a pass because I already mentioned the eye thing. He wouldn't have looked correct in 1/6 scale. It would have looked very strange. So he does resemble animated series Soups, even though he's not 110% accurate. let's discuss the capes. So this is the first one. It's not wired, it's a drape cape, and it does that effortlessly. It's this lightweight single-ply fabric. The pleats are pre-baked in, and it tucks into the body underneath the collar area for the shirt. I've seen some people display their figures like this, with the cape ports exposed. Don't do that. Look at some reference. His shirt is supposed to sit up like this and cover the base of the cape. So, futz around with the outfit, and fingers crossed you'll be able to get it to look a little bit more like this. The idea behind the switch out cape gimmick is not meant to be so that one represents the animated series and the other Justice League. Somehow it's worked out that way because the way this cape flares up and over the shoulders thanks to the wires on the outside edges of the darn thing, it gives me Justice League Superman vibes. His cape did sorta look like this. There's no wire along the bottom, you just have the side edge ones, and hopefully that's enough to get this thing billowing off in the wind and looking a touch more dynamic. Let's discuss the proportions, because that's a very important part of nailing the Bruce Timm-esque look for these DC characters. He's got the rounded, big, broad shoulders, he narrows down at the waist, huge biceps, skinnier wrists, skinny legs, and really skinny ankles. But the pecs have this angular step down to them, and for Batman, that's what I want to see, because I reckon they're going to use this body for their animated series Batman and their New Adventures Batman as well. We'll just have to wait and see when that guy eventually releases. Over the top of the body, a full spandex fabric outfit. And it's been fabric backed. You can unfortunately see some of that padding in certain places, but from a distance, not the end of the world. The reason that's there is to avoid pulls and runs and all of the usual annoying stuff that we get with full fabric spandex outfits like this. Also, because of that underlayer, I don't think it's going to get trapped in any joints. Oh, this is genius. The belt is a rubbery piece of plastic, and watch this. The belt loops aren't actually attached to the trunks, they're attached to the belt, they're faux belt loops. That means you can adjust the belt up and down in the trunks as well, and you can get this out of the way for maximum range of motion if you find the belt is colliding with his ab section, crunching him all the way forward. The trunks are a touch large, but depending on the animation model that you're looking at, they sometimes do look this large. There's a lot more of that fabric underlayer for the legs beneath the blue spandex, so that you can't see any of the exposed joints. It looks like this is a static piece. There's not much poking through the outfit that gives away that it's a fully articulated body. But it is, and I reckon the articulation is going to impress us. Coming down to the boots, they're fixed, solid, sculpted pieces. Some people won't like that, some will. I'm partial to this because look how skinny his ankles are. If we were relying on double ball pegs for a figure that's this beefy for the upper torso so he'd be top heavy, these ankles would be weak as hell. With the fixed, solid, sculpted ones, they're rock solid. This guy isn't going anywhere. He stands no problem whatsoever. Yes, S-Hero, the boots that are pointed downwards to make it look like he's in a flight pose. This is exactly what we need for Superman. Rock solid when standing straight up and down, but you still have options if you want to have him in a flight pose. You're not locked into only one position for those boots. I've put him back to stock for this drape cape and the regular boots. I've got one question and one thing that I don't love about this piece. The question is, do you like the way the cape is sitting now, how it pinches in before it enters the collar of the outfit? Or does it look better like this when I fold the excess fabric underneath itself? The one annoying thing is, so the trunks are dark red and the cape is dark red, but the S-shield is bright red and the boots are bright red. I don't like the mismatch. The boots should have matched the trunks and the cape in my opinion. It's okay if the S shield is brighter, but the boots, they shouldn't be. For a quick side-by-side comparison, I was hoping this was going to look better than it does. It's fine. Superman is slightly taller than Batman, but his skin tone is more realistic. I prefer the proportions on him, and no visible joints. Of course, the biggest pro to going with the S-Hero versions of these characters is no joints. So now that I've seen Supes next to Batman, yeah, I'm counting down the days until their Dark Knight is released. A lot of people really didn't like this SSR animated Joker. But I did, and I still do. He's one of my favourite third-party figures, in fact. He's shorter than Supes, scaling-wise, that looks about right. But more importantly, visually speaking, they match because they're both wearing full fabric outfits. Going over articulation, I'm curious about this because brand new body also means brand new articulation layout. Starting off with his head sculpt, it's on a double ball peg, looking up to there, just enough range for a flight pose. Looking down to there, swivel and pivot side to side. His arms go up to there relatively unhindered because of the full fabric outfit. Going forward and back, there's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, just below the big round shoulder. Double bend at the elbow, going further than I expected, honestly, given how bulky he is. Then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. The torso crunches forward to there, going back to there, swivel and pivot side to side. His legs go forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee, getting you to 90. But only swivel for the ankles, because the boots are solid sculpted pieces of plastic. The foot is pre-posed at an angle, so if you have him in a relatively wide stance, he should be nice and planted. And don't forget, they've also included flight pose boots. So for most people, I think you're going to be just fine with these. Wrapping up on Superman based off his appearance in the animated series, aka Superhero by S-Hero. What a way to kick off the line. This figure I'm struggling to fault. The proportions are so good. They're all over the place, but that's how it should be. This is a show-accurate look for Superman from the animated series. This big barrel chest with the broad shoulders and the narrow waist and the teeny ankles, it's all spot on. The outfit feels durable, and it disguises the articulated body underneath. We get 2 capes, 3 killer head sculpts, and surprisingly good articulation. That's the one thing that animated figures have struggled with is articulation. Usually they can't get past 90 degrees with the elbows, and they can't crunch forward without looking weird. This figure can do all of it, no problem. So S-Hero, I'm keeping my eye on you. I hope that we've got more 1/6 scale animated DC figures on the way, not just Batman and Wonder Woman. We'll have to wait and see on that. Now, I got mine as a review sample from S-Hero, organized by 1/6 Kit. I've popped a link to Kit's website in the description below, for your reference purposes only. This has been by no means a promotional video. This is a proper review. All opinions have been 100% my own. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.